Gracious Hope Live Podcast. My name is Pastor Suah Deddeh today. We are glad to be back. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're going to rejoice and be glad in it. We're going to rejoice and be glad in it. I'm glad to welcome back, welcome all of you today on this beautiful sunshiny day from where I am. I just want to be fast to tell you today, my co-host Alexander Red is not with us today. Last Saturday he could not come, and today he is not here again because he's still under the weather. We keep it impressed for him to recover fast to join us back on this program. We are missing him, and he needs to come back, right? Today we're going to be discussing the report, the latest progress report from the United States government through the State Department on Liberia, discussing political issues, discussing issues of human rights, governance issues, situation with gender-based violence, issue with prison conditions. There's a lot, but we're not going to discuss the whole report today. We will focus on a segment of the report today so that we just see what's going on as the United States government sees what's happening in Liberia. And maybe some of you already have copies of the report. It starts with an executive summary, and then it goes down discussing issues by sessions and session A, session B, and the rest of that. So, welcome to this live podcast. It is always a wonderful thing when we can come together to discuss Liberia and issues affecting our country. Again, my co-host Alexander Red is out today. We hope he can join us next broadcast next Saturday. But let's begin by looking at a report, starting with the executive summary to see what the United States looks at from the executive summary, and then we'll come down as far as we can go, discussing some of the segments of this report today, but not all. Most times when America looks at Liberia, the country, America looks at different aspects of our society, so that to remind the governors that the governed need to be taken care of. So in the executive summary we have, I would say Liberia is a constitutional republic. This is the executive summary from the report. It is titled Liberia 2021 Human Rights Report Executive Summary. We just want to capture a little bit, and then we go down into the report. Thank you for joining us today. It says Liberia is a constitutional republic with a bicameral national assembly and a democratically elected government led by President George Mane Oponwia and the political alliance coalition for the democratic change. The country held presidential and legislative elections in 2017, which domestic and international observers deemed generally free and fair, which is the good thing. The then Maserado County Senator George Weah won the presidential runoff in December 2017 in an election that was generally considered free and fair. It's a good thing again. In December 2020, the country held midterm senatorial elections that observers seemed or deemed largely peaceful, although there were some reported instances of vote tampering, intimidation, harassment of female candidates, and election violence. So the executive summary tends to capture the political scenery, and then before it goes down to the main issues that concerns the United States of America. The first issue in the report, session 1, discuss respect for the integrity of the person, respect for the integrity of the person. You know, as we discuss this report, we will blend it with our scripture because this program is basically focused on scripture as it informs society. So God created all of us in his image and likeness, so we are all equal in the sight of God. But things happen sometimes that people's rights are violated by the governors or other people in society. So this report by the United States government, 2021 progress report, I will call it, The first section in this report discussed the respect for the integrity of the person. And under that, it has section A, and that is entitled Arbitrary Deprivation of Life and Other Unlawful or Politically Motivated Killings. We all know what has happened in our country. People died mysteriously, killed in their homes. And again, we have not seen any clear reports from those investigations as far as we know. If the reports are available, we want to see them. So this report by the United States government starts with the respect for the integrity of the person. And in this, it says there were several reports government or its committed. I'll read that again. There were several reports the government or its agents committed arbitrary or unlawful killings. On July 29, truck driver Aliyu Sharif was involved in a scuffle with on-duty police officers after his truck was impounded along the Gunnersville Japanese Highway in Moserado County, where the Ministry of Transport and Liberian National Police were conducting a joint inspection of non-roadside, non-roadworthy vehicles. There was a joint inspection going on. And according to witnesses, police officers beat and dragged Sharif from the National Transportation Authority. Sharif, according to this report, was later found unconscious and taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Then on August 31st, the Liberian National Police arrested and forwarded to court 3 police officers, Samuel N. Bubba, Harris Munger, and Alexander Seiko, after Sharif's autopsy showed he died of blunt force trauma. Bubba and Seiko were charged with negligent homicide and criminal facilitation. This is a good thing. Police officers went above what they should be doing. The National Police took action. This represents the rule of law that we all yearn for in our country. So this is a good report for the police authorities. Nobody is above the law. When people violate laws and the rule of laws, action should be taken. And we are glad that the police took actions as far as this report is concerned. The report also talked about disappearances in Liberia. That's section B, part 8 of section 1. It says there were no report of disappearances by or on behalf of government authorities. Very good. The public and media continue to allege unresolved disappearances. And we'll look at section 6 as we discuss this one. But the report continued that on April 5th, scores of mourners under the banner Citizens United Against Secret Killings called on the diplomatic missions to help end an alleged wave of mysterious disappearances, death, and secret killings in the country, ostensibly linked to, quote, traditional ritualistic practices. Addressing a news conference in Monrovia, the group's leader, Jethro Emmanuel Collet, noted that residents were living in fear because of the unexplained deaths. In press events and community outreach, the National Police Inspector General denied the reports of a wave of disappearances related to ritualistic killings, noting that the public seemed to be linking cases of domestic violence, robberies, and even suicides to ritual violence, and that some photographs of purported disappearance of deceased people or individuals circulating on social media were fake or misleading. All right. We know that there were deaths in Monrovia. People were killed in their homes. And as far as we know, the police has not undertaken an extensive investigation. If that investigation has occurred, we have not seen the results or the reports for those investigations. So this report, this human rights progress report by the United States government highlights these things. But the police director says most of the reports of ritualistic killing and things that were happening were not true. Who's saying the truth? We will see as we wait on government to bring out the report on people who have disappeared or people who have died to find out whether or not the American government report is true or untrue. If you're just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope Live Podcast. We come to you every Saturday. Again, my friend Alexander Red is not in studio today. He's out today because he's under the weather. So keep tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Gracious Hope Live Podcast. We broadcast every Saturday at 3 p.m. Central Time, and of course, 4 p.m. Eastern Time and 8 p.m. GMT Liberian Time. On this program we discuss societal issues, topical issues that affect societies, and what we do, we blend scripture with what's happening in society, because God created all of us in His own image and likeness, and so no one is should be thrown in the pole. No one should be treated less human. So this program tends to discuss those issues that affect society. So thanks for joining us. We'll be glad to get your comments, your observations, your views. Those really help us to improve, to do our best on this program. It's for you, not just about us. So thank you for joining us today. And let's go back to the United States States Department progress report. We call it progress report on Liberia. We want to look at the section of the report that talks about arbitrary arrest or detention. Arbitrary arrest or detention. You know, the Constitution and law prohibit any form of arbitrary arrest and detention, and provide for the right of any person to challenge the lawlessness of his or her arrest or detention in court. Yes, the Constitution provides that you whose rights are being violated, wrongly arrested, you can protest that in court. You have the right to do that as a Liberian. The government did not always observe this prohibition or rights, according to the Human Rights Progress Report of the United States. According to the report, at times, at the opening of the August term of court on August 9, the resident judge of the 16th Judicial Circuit Court of Bapolu County, Zabula Kiziku, cautioned law enforcement officers to adhere to the due process of law when arresting individuals or groups alleged to have committed crimes. Thank God the judge mentioned that. Thank God the judge mentioned that. This is the judge of the court of competent jurisdiction who is giving his observation, calling on law enforcement officers to respect the rest of individuals who have allegedly committed crimes. I mean, you are proven innocent until you go to court for the judge or the jury to go through the case and to decide whether or not you went wrong. But according to the human rights report by the United States States Department, it says Judge Kizuki explained that law enforcers discriminate against the arrest and the criminal justice process by going after cases that are about money. I mean, this is just saying that. And the United States report is quoting what the judge says and not imputing anything. So if the judge himself is saying that law enforcement officers go do their duty about money, it's a serious situation coming from the judge. The judge also noted that the increasing wave of wrongful arrest by law enforcement officers was responsible for overcrowded conditions in prisons around the country. This is unique. And this is serious. Now, a judge will be clear-minded on what is causing human rights violation and what is populating the prison system. This is a serious matter. Police officers don't have the rights into their own hands. Law enforcement officers do not have the rights into their own hands. They are governed by rules and regulations and professional standards. So they themselves will have to adhere to what should be done properly. Not because you carry the badge or you carry the gun or you wear a uniform, that gives you the authority to violate the rights of other people. That is something that people have spoken against in the United States, and other people have spoken against this manner. But thank God, too, that the police authorities are taking keen interest in bringing their own officers to book, especially those who flock and kill Sheriff, by the incident I mentioned earlier. So if the police authorities will take this matter very seriously and be intentional about them and making sure that none of the officers walk free after violating the rest of people, that will bring the citizenry to realize that they can count on the police and the judicial system, where the rights are violated, where the police is seen as the violators. This is a good thing. But in a system where people are not brought to book by their actions or non-actions, people go about doing things in any way they want to do it. Why? Because the law enforcers are breaking the law, so citizens may want to take the law into their own hands. Before you realize that, you have a lawless society that will breed chaos and violence in the society. We don't want that in Liberia, nor in a society. So the law provides that the authorities either charge or release detainees within 48 hours. Detainees generally were informed of their charges against them upon arrest, but not always brought before the judge for an arraignment within 48 hours. This is another serious matter according to this progress report. So if people are arrested for committing crimes, they are to appear before a judge in 48 hours. If that does not happen, the rights of those who have been arrested and detained have been violated. And this is the crux of this progress report, or we call the human rights report by the State Department. You cannot keep people in jail for more than 48 hours, especially if they don't know what they were arrested for, and they are being kept in detention for no reason. This violates the constitutional provision of law and order. And that's what the report is enumerating in this progress human rights report by the United States State Department. Let's go back to the report. Further down in the report, we want to look at another section of arbitrary arrest and detention. arbitrary arrest and detention. That means arrested for no reason. It's also against the laws of the land, arrested for no reason. According to the report, we're talking and we are discussing the United States Department Human Rights Report for 2021. This is the focus of today's discussion on this Gracious Hope Live podcast that comes to you every Saturday. Under this section of the report, it says there were reports in the press that security forces and police made some arbitrary arrest. Let's go further down. Some political parties accused the Liberian National Police of arresting opposition politicians on trumped-up charges. It's not me saying it. I'm reading directly from the report. When I read that again, some political parties accused the National Police of arresting opposition politicians on trumped-up charges. For example, according to the report, Mo Ali, the Secretary General of the Opposition Unity Party, was arrested on March 25th on charges of terroristic threat against the state for allegedly making inflammatory remarks on video and Facebook that incited petrol bomb attacks. Against the National Elections Commission and Supreme Court Justice Joseph N. Nangwe. According to the report, the Minister of Justice, Frank Musa Dein, ordered police to release Ali until authorities presented evidence supporting the charges. Ali was released on March 25th. This is a positive sign. Ali was arrested. Justice Minister Frank Musa Dein intervened to release Ali until authorities presented evidence supporting the charges. This is what you call the rule of law. People's rights should not be violated upon something that you have no proof about. Okay, this says there was a video, suffice that to be, but the Minister of Justice intervened to release Ali from detention until, according to this report, evidence was produced supporting the charges. Beautiful. On October 1, the political opposition party Alternative National Congress accused police of political intimidation following the arrest of party member Jethro Salah Kanga Harris in Gantanima County, while the party was providing support to an opposition candidate in congressional by-elections. The party called on police to protect persons' lives and property rather than harass and violate their rights and civil liberties. Harris was accused of intentionally spreading false and inflammatory information by posting photographs of a corpse that he alleged was the victim of ritualistic violence. That was what he was targeted by the police. According to the report, he knowingly published pictures of the autopsy of someone he knew and claimed it was proof of active organ harvesting from living persons for use in witchcraft. For those of you who are Liberians, you know what witchcraft is. It's this supernatural behavior by some people to snatch the life out of people and maybe take their parts for medicinal purpose, for witchcraft purpose. If you're just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope Live Podcast. My name is Suah S. Deddeh. And again, my co-host, Alexander Red, is not with us today. He's been under the weather since last Saturday, and he continues today. We keep him in our prayers, and we pray that he returns sooner, because the viewers are missing him already. Again, let's keep him in prayers. So let's continue discussing the report today. On July 22nd, the Criminal Code A Judge Blamo Dixon Other Justice Minister Dean, the Liberian National Police Inspector General Patrick Sudu, and Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Tamakoji to release detainees and desist from detaining peaceful citizens. The judge's order came because of a petition for a writ of habeas corpus filed by Anthony Alphonsus Wobo on the same day, asking the judge to order Koji to produce rose red. So this tells us that the law is also working in the country. The law is taking its course, according to this report. So the judge called or ordered Koji to reproduce the living body of Rose Red, Felicia Red, and Kristen Toe. The full account document declared the women were arrested on July 19 and transported to Zone 1, Bushwood Island, and thereafter taken to the Liberian National Police Headquarters on July 20th. From there, they were later taken to the Monrovia City without charge. Taken to the Monrovia City without charge. Remember, if someone is arrested, they should be charged within 48 hours. That's the law. But these ladies were arrested, taken to the police headquarters, and then to the Monrovia City headquarters in St. Thomas. Neither the police, the national police, nor the mayor of the city of Monrovia informed the detainees why they were arrested. According to the press reports, upon the failure of the government's Anthony to appear in court to justify the arrest, the court ordered the release of the women through a default judgment. Beautiful. The law is taking its course. The law is working. But in some instances, does this happen? We don't know. So let's go further down in this report. We see in section C, further down, it says denial of fair public trial. These are all human rights issues. Human rights issues. The rights of others that should be protected at all times, save time of emergency. But we're not discussing that today. We are focusing on this report before us, issued by or released by the State Department of the United States of America. Under section C, further down in the report, it says denial of fair public trial. And what does that say? The report says the Constitution and law provide for an independent judiciary, but judges and magistrates were subject to influence and engaged in corruption. That's a report saying it, not me. Judges sometimes solicited bribes to try cases, grant bail to detainees, award damages in civil cases, or acquit defendants in criminal cases. Defense attorneys and prosecutors sometimes suggested defendants pay bribes to secure favorable decisions from judges, from prosecutors, and jurors, or to have the court staff, place cases on a docket for trial. Money in the judiciary system. Denial of fair public trial. This is the report for the United States Government, State Department, highlighting the problems in the judiciary system. In the rule of law, you don't bribe to put your case on the docket. That is dangerous. That means the person that has more money will always be the one that might weigh in court. The highest bidder gets favorable results. This is now how the law works. We all are equal in the presence of the law. We all have rights in the presence of the law, especially before the judge. And the prosecutors should be able to fairly interpret the penal code, the laws of the land, in favor of you, no matter your status in society. It should not be the other way around. But according to this report we're looking at today, some judicial officers and prosecutors appeared subject to pressure. Again, some judicial officials and prosecutors appeared subject to pressure, and the outcome of some trial appeared to be predetermined, especially when the accused persons were politically connected or socially prominent. Media outlets often accuse Solicitor General Serena Cephas of exerting direct influence over and having inappropriate contact with judges as well as defendants involved in his cases. Alleged. It might be true or not true. He was accused. So not all accusations are right, but this is an accusation. It could go other way. So Solicitor General has been accused of exerting direct influence over or having inappropriate contact with judges as well as defendants involved in this case, and provided credible evidence in support of those accusations. So people who are accusing the Solicitor General, according to this report, are providing credible evidence to support their accusations. The government and its integrity institutions, such as the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, took no action in response to these allegations. The Anti-Corruption Commission took no action, maybe up to the time of the writing of this report, which was recorded and gathered in 2021. So maybe after this report was released, something happened. We don't know. We want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Suah Deddeh, and we are discussing the report, the 2021 report issued by the United States State Department, looking at human rights issue in the Republic of Liberia, rule of law in the Republic of Liberia. And we hope this discussion today will open our minds and remind the government that people are watching very, very, very keenly to see what happens in our judiciary system, in law enforcement system, and the whole 9 yards. So let's go back to this report. According to this report, Judge Roland Dunn of the 8th Judicial Circuit Court in Nima County and Magistrate Victoria Duncan of the Kakata Magisterial Court in Magibi County both admitted to expatriate call exchanges between them and Senate Secretary Nabolo Sengbe while handling separate criminal cases of alleged corruption in the maritime industry against Sengbe. There's more detail on that in section 4 of this report. Wow. I'll read that again. Judge Roland Dunn of the 8th Judicial Circuit Court in Nima County and Magistrate Victoria Duncan of the Kakata Magisterial Court in Magibi County both admitted to expatriate call exchanges between them and Senate Secretary Nabolo Sengbe while handling separate criminal cases of alleged corruption in the maritime industry against Sengbe and several other defendants, including Chapman Logan, Chief Executive Officer of Logan and Logan Group, a company in the maritime industry. A foreign investor, Hans Armstrong, who was also under investigation for alleged corrupt practices in the maritime industry, filed a complaint before the Judiciary Inquiry Commission and auxiliary commission established within the judiciary with the exclusive power and authority to receive and investigate complaints, against judges of courts of law and record for violation of any provision of the judiciary canons. We don't know, but we hope this case was adjudicated properly and the right thing was done. We are discussing, we call it a progress report released by the United States State Department covering 2021 regarding human rights issues in Liberia, law and order issues in Liberia, the issue of gender-based violence in Liberia. And we want to discuss this report today, or begin the discussion of this report today, so that we let you know what's going on in Liberia, and that the governors be reminded that there are eyes all over the place on the governors as they relate to the governed, because Liberia should be a country of laws and not of men. So thanks for joining us today as we discuss this. We're going to go down to session 2, and session 2 of this report discusses rights for civil liberties, rights and respect for civil liberties. Under section 2, there's an A under section 2, and that A discusses freedom of expression, including the members of the press and other media. Again, the Constitution provides for freedom of expression, including for members of the press and other media groups. And the government generally respected these rights, although with some unofficial limits. This report tends to be clear, succinct, and balanced, looking at the issues where actions were taken and issues where actions were not taken. Freedom of expression. According to this report, individuals could generally criticize the government publicly or privately, but government officials use civil, libel, and slander laws to place limits on freedom of expression, and self-censorship was widespread. In other words, freedom of expression, people expressing themselves publicly and privately in the society, and government allows that to the large extent. But then government officials are using civil, libel, and slander laws to put a fear in the media people. As a result, self-censorship is now widespread. And what is self-censorship? It means they reported themselves. Or journalists themselves, trying to make sure they are careful, very careful, on how they report on the activities of government officials, being fearful of threats of being sued. That's what self-censorship is. And in the face of self-censorship, sometimes issues that should be reported to society, issues that the public need to know, are not reported because journalists are exercising self-censorship. This is not always good, but it should not be the case at all. But mind you, there are times that journalists exercise self-censorship when it comes to emergencies, on issues on national crisis or national security issues. That is a different ball game completely. But let's continue with the report. According to the report, some media outlets avoided criticizing government officials due to fear of legal sanction and potential loss of government advertising, which, according to the Press Union of Liberia, was the largest source of media revenue, advertisement from government. So because the media will want to have advertisement from government, they are careful in criticizing the government. As a result, major issues that should be reported may not be reported. And when that happens, the society, the public is denied of what they need to know for their own good, as citizenry of the society. These are serious issues. Other outlets avoided addressing sensitive human rights issues such as female genital mutilation or cutting. Court decisions against journalists sometimes involve exorbitant fees or exorbitant fines. And mind you, most of the media institutions in Liberia are struggling. So they want to avoid any issue or any case or any matter or any reportage that will bring them into problem with those who are in government, and they go to court and then they bring this big lawsuit against you, charging or claiming millions of dollars that the newspaper, that they know the newspaper or the media outlet cannot pay, just to stop for them, or to keep them quiet, or to silence them. And this is what this report issued by the United States government is talking about. According to the report, in a May 10 interview following the opening of the May term of court, Solicitor General Serena Cephas issued a warning against persons who make reckless statements in the name of free speech. The report goes on. Solicitor General Cephas stated that he would issue an arrest order for those who abuse free speech. He made the statement following a threat by Mark Jabateh, an influential leader of youths of the Mandingo ethnic group, who threatened to kill Chief Justice Francis Kogba and accused him of taking sides in a land dispute between the Mandingo ethnic group and the Mana and Gio ethnic groups in Ganta-Nima County. So the Solicitor General is not taking it. He's making it clear that anyone who does that, anyone who violates free speech, according to him, will be taken to court. I don't know Mark Jabateh, but he represents the Mandingo ethnic group, the youth of the Mandingo ethnic group. And he threatened to kill Chief Justice Francis Kogba. Huge. Because he accused him of taking sides in a land dispute between the Mandingo ethnic group and the Mana and Gio ethnic groups in Nima County. Well, accusing somebody and threatening to kill them is a big deal. It's a very big deal. So Solicitor General Cephas is making it clear that anyone who does that will face the court or face the law. If you're just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope Live Podcast coming to you on this platform, KMTV. We are grateful to KMTV for allowing us to use this platform to inform you and discuss issues with you. We usually are two hosts on this program, Alexander Red and myself. And I've mentioned more than once, Alex is not in today because he's under the weather. We hope he comes back soon. We are discussing the 2021 Human Rights Report released by the United States government, State Department on issues surrounding human rights, governance, rule of law in Liberia. So thanks for joining us. We will be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Gracious Hope Live Podcast. My name is Suah Deddeh, and we broadcast every Saturday at this time. Every Saturday at this time, we are discussing the 2021 Human Rights Report released by the United States government, State Department, and we are glad that you join us today. We are glad that you are watching, and we encourage you to share this video to others who might miss this broadcast so that we all know what's happening in our country. We all are informed about what's happening in our country, because an informed society is the society that takes the right decisions, that makes the right decisions, that makes the right call. An uninformed society will not know what the governors are doing, and as a result, they cannot hold the government to the rule of law, to good governance in the country. So it's always good that our people will know what's going on in our country, that our people will get involved and take seriously what they need to do in our country so that the right things happen in our country. Remember, we are all equal. We are all made in the image and likeness of God. Nobody is subhuman. Nobody is unimportant in the sight of God. That means all of us should respect each other. And this report points to that. This report deals with the issues that are plaguing the society. This report kind of highlights the issues that we should pay attention to so that we don't lose sight of our destiny as a people, as a country, as a nation state, that you mean well for ourselves. We should not use our positions in government. We should not use our titles and our privileges in government to silence others and put others down. This is what we discuss on this program. And that's why we are discussing this report today, issued by the United States government. So let's go further down into this report. We come to the session that deals with the participation of women and members of the minority groups, the participation of women and members of the minority group. According to this report, no law limits participation of women or members of minority groups in the political process. And they did participate. According to this report, women and minority did participate. Some observers believed traditional and cultural factors, as well as financial limitations, limited women's participation in politics as compared with the participation of men. This is a very succinct observation. According to this report, during the campaign period, traditional leaders in some rural areas at times deployed the country devil to harass them who were women in the minority and their supporters, disrupting campaign activities. Women participated at significantly lower levels than men as party leaders and elected officials. Women are Liberians as well, and women's issues are human rights issues. There should be no way where women's participation is limited because of their gender or their sex. All of us are Liberians, and we should be given the opportunity to participate in the politics of our nation. And country that were coming out to threaten and harass them is just uniquely interesting. We don't think that's the role of the country devil to come in and disrupt political campaigns because the campaigners are winning. I'm discussing this report. This is what the report says. According to this report, ahead of the November 16 by-elections, only two female candidates competed in a field of 33. Out of 33 people, only two female candidates. That means that one of the candidates were male. So independent candidate Abigail Cole Freeman lost the race for the Nima District Number 1 seat, while independent candidate Fina Bori Lasana won the contest for Bomi County District Number 1 representative. Good. One lost, one won. But out of 33 candidates, only 2. Doesn't mean that women are not interested or what. It might be or it might not be the case. It may be a fear factor or monetary factor. Who knows? But not only that, in November, in the November 16th statement, our local elections observation group, Liberia Elections Observation Network, noted it had observed significant underrepresentation of women in the temporary staff of the National Elections Commission for the November 16 representative by elections in Bomi, Bon, Nima, and Grand Chile counties, where there were 275 women in a polling staff of 660. 275 women in a polling staff of 660. We can see the unbalanced nature of the staff. So even in the Elections Commission temporary team, the representation of women was negligible, according to this report. But meanwhile, election laws require that political parties endeavor to ensure 30% female participation. That's the election laws. The election law requires that political parties endeavor to ensure 30% female participation. Is this happening? Good question. The answer is yes. In the December 2020 senatorial midterm elections, 20 out of 118 candidates were female, were women, constituting 17% of the candidates. Out of 118 candidates, only 20 were women, constituting 17% of the candidates, all from opposing parties and none from the ruling parties. So all of the women candidates were all from the opposing parties, not the ruling party. The main opposition bloc, the collaborating political parties, met the threshold with 5 candidates, female candidates, out of 15. The ruling coalition of Democratic Change fielded no female candidates for any seat or Senate seat. The issue of women is a serious matter. Women are also important people of the society, and they should be allowed to play their roles as they should be. They should not be relegated in any form of action. And this report clearly highlights that. Women participation in politics. Oh yes, it might take time for us to get the 30% threshold that the election laws talk about. We got to keep working at it. I say we because I'm a Liberian as well. We got to keep working at it, keep striving towards it, step by step, until we have women participation in our electoral process increased. That's what we look forward to. The issue of corruption and the lack of transparency also is mentioned in this report we are discussing today. Corruption and the lack of transparency in government. Before I go ahead, thanks for joining us. We'll soon be concluding the broadcast today. We will soon be concluding. We might not be able to cover all of the issues mentioned in this report. Of course, we can have a follow-up broadcast where we'll go into other issues that the report talks about, so that we make sure we don't leave anything out. We don't want to leave anything out. We want to highlight all of the issues in this report, because all the issues affect our country, affect good governance, affect rule of law, human rights. All the issues in this report affect every sector of the Liberian society. So we don't intend to leave anything out, but we want to cover what we can cover today in our hours program. So session 4 talks about corruption. We know what corruption is. We know how prevalent corruption is in our country. We all know that. So we're discussing corruption and the lack of transparency in the government. The law provides criminal penalties for bribery, abuse of office, or economic sabotage and other corruption-related offenses committed by officials. But the government did not implement the law effectively, according to the United States State Department report. The government did not implement the law effectively. There were numerous reports of government corruption during the year 2021. Officials frequently engaged in corrupt practices with impunity. That's what the report says. Officials of government frequently engaged in corrupt practices with impunity. I mean, nothing happened. Corruption, according to the report, was a fight of daily life for citizens and businesses alike. According to the September Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, State of Corruption report, 90% of citizens thought corruption was high in the country, and 76% have witnessed corruption. This is huge. 90% of the citizenry believes that corruption was high, and 76% of that percentage has seen corruption being practiced in action. 76% witness corruption, I believe, in different forms. The report also labeled the national budget as a tool. This is interesting. The report also labeled the national budget as a tool for corruption, in which public resources end up in the pockets of public officials through direct payments, indirect payments, or backdoor deals. Wow. Wow. So if budget or budgeted items are not used for the intended purpose, then where are we going? Then what is happening to our society? Yes, it's not strange. This is not the first sign or the first act of corruption in our country. And I don't think corruption will ever be eradicated from our society, because the citizenry themselves are resigned to corruption. The fabric of the society is engulfed in corruption. From the market, upwards, or from upwards, downwards. Corruption, corruption, corruption. And if people saying, if the report is saying that the national budget is used as a tool for corruption, in which public resources end up in the pockets of public officials through direct payments or indirect payments or backdoor deals, then this is a serious cause for concern. The national budget. We know even in the United States, the budget has spokes in it, PORKS. Senators have the pet projects in the states that they represent in the Senate. Of course, I mean, right in the United States too, the Congress is called PORK, P-O-R-K, where in the budget or in laws passed in the Senate, those spokes are placed in there so that the states can benefit from something. But that's for the states. That's a big difference for an individual. So why it happens at a different level, but in our country, it's individuals who are enjoying budgetary appropriation personally. And that's what this report is talking about. This is a serious thing. It's sad. This is very sad. People are suffering in the country. The youth in the country are struggling. And that is why you have this, I hate to call them Zogos, but I call them disadvantaged young people. They've been accused of causing problems, disturbing society or communities with machetes, and people have to flee into their homes. And we heard that on social media. Whether this is true or false, I don't know. But that's what we heard. It might be false, it might be true, but that's what we heard. But in fact, I recall some time ago, it was alleged that this disadvantaged youth rampaged a crusade in Nuku Town, and people died. So if the government cannot cater to these young people, but budgetary means, but line the pockets with the resources of the country, it is a shame. It's a serious matter. I'm discussing this with